Thank you for stopping by. I am Jared Johnson, the Jared J. Joining me today is Talmadge Rodger Varnado the third. Again. I almost felt like an umpire calling strike there. I don't know if it's because you're the third and 3 strikes you're out. It's like, strike, the third.
Things like that happen to you a lot.
They do, actually. Y'all don't even know how much.
Strike?
So Talmadge and I, if you haven't been watching the channel, and if so, come on. Come on. We've been doing a study, in our Bible study through the book of Matthew. And on the channel here, we've been doing a study on adjusting to Justin. Now, there's no book of Justin.
I'm not going to look.
We've been through this. There's no book of Justin in the Holy Bible. But we've been on a series. This is part 3. So if you've missed the first 2, the first one was, how good is Justin Jefferson? Part 2, how good is Justin Herbert? You can go back and watch those episodes. I'm going to have to make sure I release these in the proper order now because we're shooting them all in one day.
Right. Here's
part 3 of our study on Justin. What is the future for Justin Fields? Currently, as of this recording, backup quarterback for the New York Giants, 6'3"
Jets.
I did say the Giants, didn't I? New York Jets. Do I apologize to Jets fans?
If you're watching from New York, put in the comments. We left.
Yeah, let me know if I just offended you or if you don't care. But if you're watching from New York, let me know. If you know Justin Fields, let me know. Currently, the backup quarterback for the New York Jets, 6'3", 227 pounds, 26 years of age. Currently in his 5th season. Started at LSU. What am I'm thinking about my producing partner, Chris. I'm way off. We're going to have to restart. Let's keep going. We've been talking about LSU. It started with Justin Jefferson.
Ohio State.
And I'm wearing a Jaden Daniels shirt. The Ohio State is where Justin Fields was quarterback. Led them to an appearance in the national championship game 2021. I don't have to mention that they got beaten badly by that Alabama Crimson Tide. Although I did just mention that, and it does happen. But Fields had a very good college career. Drafted by the Chicago Bears in 2021.
With the 11th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, my Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
And his career's really been a roller coaster at this point. And some guys just struggle and never get it going. Justin Fields has shown flashes. Is he a Drew Brees type passer? No. He's a very, I would say, specific athlete, unique athlete. As far as pure athleticism, he's one of the best I've seen at the quarterback position all time. I mean, I've got the Jaden Daniels shirt. If you know me, if you've been watching the channel, I'm a big fan of the athletic dual threat quarterback. But yeah, Justin Fields, in terms of athleticism, running ability, he's in the conversation. He doesn't get the credit, and we'll go on and discuss some of the reasons, because there are reasons for that. In his 2nd season in the league, he did become the 3rd quarterback ever to have over 1,000 yards rushing in one season, the other 2 being Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson. For the 2022 season, Fields had 1,143 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns, 7.1 yards per carry. And in that season, he set the NFL record for single game, rushing yards. No disrespect to Lamar Jackson, who has a single season and career rushing yard records for quarterbacks. Single game, Justin Fields had 178 against the Miami Dolphins in 2022. Spent 3 seasons with Chicago, spent 1 season with Pittsburgh last year. Now he's with the New York Jets. Talmadge, and I'll let you speak for yourself, obviously, but I'm a much bigger fan of Justin Fields than Talmadge is, although I think, being objective, we're not too far off on our overall assessments of him. I said coming into this season that I do think Justin Fields has a lot of ability. I think we've yet to see how good he actually can be. But I also said over and over, we've got to see it. As much as I like the young man, he's got to prove it. I can keep saying till my last breath how good I think he is, but he's got to show that. He's got to prove that. And quite honestly, he hasn't yet. I genuinely thought maybe this year we would see that because I think he's got a lot of talent around him with Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson. Now, Wilson's missed several games with a knee injury this year. That hasn't helped. I think Fields he's been benched a couple of times this year. The Jets as a team are not succeeding. If you're the starting quarterback, you're going to get scrutinized a lot. Personally, last year, the first 6 games with Pittsburgh, and that's a small sampling, I thought he looked pretty good. Pittsburgh was 4-2 during that stretch. Again, he wasn't putting up Drew Brees numbers, but he was moving the ball. He's always a threat with his legs. I thought in that Pittsburgh system, especially when they focused a lot on defense, run the ball control, I thought he was a pretty good fit in that system. Maybe largely because I want to see the guy succeed because I do really like him, but I genuinely thought he was pretty good. And Tomlin, obviously, nope, I brought Russell Wilson here to be my starter. I thought it would have made a lot of sense if they had let Russell Wilson walk in free agency and then re-sign Justin Fields. They did not do that. I think that would have actually been a good fit. We may never know the answer because it did not happen. I do think that would have been a good idea. That's what I kind of wanted to see happen. But Talmadge, he's had some struggles. As I said, he's not a Drew Brees level passer, and honestly, that's being generous.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think anybody ever expected him to be that.
No.
So
you shouldn't.
I don't hold that against him because you are who you are, and that was never his skill set. My issue with him has always been, number one, the dual threat focus alarms me sometimes because it's almost like GMs pick somebody just because they're a dual threat. You still have to pass from the pocket. And these dual threat quarterbacks, a lot of times what you can do is just play zone so you can always see the quarterback. Okay. And you don't have to put a spot on them, just play a lot of zone and then force them to throw the ball outside the hash marks. If you take outside the hash away and you play zone, they're not as effective. And that's what's proven to be the case here. Secondarily, this is not his fault, but when you keep getting hurt, well, that, it's no one's fault. It just happened, but he got hurt a little bit in Chicago. And then on the top of the fact that now you have the reputation of being a journeyman quarterback. He's been with 3 teams now.
And he's only, 26?
Right. And it's hard, and people move on. In the league, they move on. It's like, we gave you your shot. It didn't work. I got to go get me another quarterback, which Chicago did. They didn't have to go out and get Caleb, but they did.
They could have kept Justin Fields.
And they had just spent a first-round pick, 2-3 years previous?
3 years.
To Justin Fields.
Justin Fields.
That's a lot to spend 2 first-round picks on a quarterback within a 5-year period.
Yes.
But that's what teams are doing now.
That's
they used
the
to not.
trend today.
They used to not. It's like, we got to give them a chance. But now you better hit it from the ground running.
Yeah.
And if you don't, we're moving on. And that's what they did. And that's not his fault, but that's just the league that we're in.
That's the league.
And now there's a perception he's a journeyman quarterback, which has to mess with his confidence a little bit. I think the best thing that could happen for him, because he does have some physical tools, the best thing could happen for him, because we've seen a lot of reclamation projects lately at the quarterback position. The Geno Smith's taking away this year, but the 2 previous years,
what he did in Seattle,
really good. The Sam Darnolds. There's several other examples of people who had to take a step back for 2 or 3 years and just carry the clipboard, and then someone gets hurt or someone takes a flyer on you, and all of a sudden, Baker Mayfield's another. All of a sudden, that talent starts to show. So hopefully that will be the case for him, because I love him as a young man. I've seen a few interviews. One of them you sent me that was just eye-poppingly wonderful about how he conducts himself, his faith. There's a lot of positives there.
The importance of reading his Bible and digging into his Bible. He talks about in that clip.
And I'll never say he doesn't have talent or he doesn't have a chance, but it's getting to the point where a decision is going to be made on him ultimately, and we're pretty close to it. And if you can't, I know the Jets don't have a ton of talent, but this was a perfect opportunity for him.
I think it was.
And he hasn't grabbed the bull by the horns, and so here we are.
And to your point, and I concur with all that. He's had some games with the Jets this year where he's played really good and they've lost. He's had some other games where he has not played good at all. He played terrible against Buffalo. He got sacked 9 times against Denver. I know their defense is good, but when you're as fast and athletic as he is, I don't know how he got sacked 9 times.
Well, I think what's happening to him now is like what happens again to a lot of dual threat quarterbacks. A lot of coaches have the philosophy I have. We're only going to win if you can throw from the pocket. And so it's almost like they second guess running now because so many coaches are in the ear saying, don't run, don't run, don't run. You've got to throw from the pocket. But then when the quarterback does that, he's second guessing himself because it's not natural for him. And then coaches come back and say, well, why didn't you use your legs on that?
Right.
Well, you're the one who told me I got to be good from the pocket.
Yeah.
Same thing's happening to my guy, Cam Ward, right now. With the coaching change, they've had to tell him, why aren't you running? Well, Cam didn't want to do it. He wants to show that I can throw from the pocket.
Right.
I want to break this myth that I can't throw from the pocket. So I'm totally focused on that. And he's taken some sacks this year just because you could tell. If you would have tucked it and run, we would have got a first down. But he's so intent on throwing from the pocket. So I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because I'm saying that's what a quarterback should do. But the struggle for a dual threat is they've got more to balance. At least if you're a pocket passer, that's
all you expect. Yeah, and that's all anybody expects. Nobody ever said to Joe Montana or Tom Brady, why didn't you sprint for 16 yards?
Right.
They knew what
Exactly.
Those guys were cerebral and phenomenal at guiding an offense.
And so that's the struggle for a lot of dual threats.
Struggle,
They've got, okay, what should I do? This is what I want to do naturally. No, I got to prove myself, so I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Now one coach is telling me to do it, one coach is saying not, and and you can see that in his play sometimes. He's not natural at quarterback right now.
And not only that, and I don't know Justin Fields personally, obviously, but it's hard for me to imagine how much confidence can he have. Chicago moved on from him. He played, in my opinion, he played well enough in Pittsburgh to keep the starting job. He didn't. They went with Russell Wilson.
Well, some would argue he should have stayed in Chicago. Some would argue,
why
not give this guy a chance? He's flashed enough. Get a good coach in here, good team around him. Why spend another draft pick on a quarterback when we can draft another position? So some say that.
Hey, remember, I said that at the time before Caleb Williams got drafted. I was like, man, you got the #1 pick. Use it on Joe Alt or use it on Marvin Harrison or trade it for some other draft capital. Build around Justin Fields. And I will say, nothing against Caleb Williams. He's a better passer. Caleb Williams this year is showing he's had some very good games. So nothing against him. But they didn't surround Justin Fields. Now, he had David Montgomery in the backfield 1 year. He had DJ Moore, a receiver, for 1 year. But with Caleb, they brought Odunze, DJ Moore. They went out and got Keenan Allen. They drafted Colston Loveland. They brought in DeAndre Swift. They've made way more of an effort.
Yeah.
What would Justin Fields do with that collection of talent? We may never know, but I will argue we don't know. He might be, Chicago might be just as good or better if they had kept Justin Fields and built around him. I don't know. I'm not saying that definitively. But
well, speaking on his confidence, I mean, I'm kind of torn there because you're right. You're probably not gonna. Your confidence is probably not gonna be at its highest level if you've been pulled in and out of the lineup as much as he has. But at the same time, after seeing some of the clips that you've shown me, some of the interviews he's done, I tend to believe he actually still has his confidence because he has his faith. And and that was so impressive to me. How he for the first time I thought this guy can be a leader. This guy got a good. Not that I thought he was an idiot, but I had never really heard him in an interview before, and I'm like, okay, I can kind of see a path for him now. At least personally, he's got the right mindset. He hasn't given up on this. He still believes in his ability. But then again, you're not wrong either. How could it not impact you?
It has to
in
impact
and out
him.
of lineup.
I love that he, to your point, he seems rooted in who I am is who God created me to be. My confidence is shaken, but if my confidence is in Christ, then I can push on. I think he does have that level, and I love that about him as well. I was already a fan of him. Then I heard he's a Christian. Then I saw that clip I sent you. So that just kind of helped me be even more of a fan of him.
I know you haven't come to this point yet, but I'll sum my opinion up with this. I've never rooted against someone to be successful, even if I wasn't as high on them as a talent. but now I'm rooting for him to be successful just because I'm starting to see the person that he is.
Mm.
It has nothing
Yeah.
to do with football. I understand, at the end of the day, you got to produce. I get it. But I'm hoping that he does even more so than
Because
before.
yeah, that's part of me too. Like I said, I was a fan because of the athlete and just what I saw. He's a better running threat in the NFL than he was at Ohio State. Like I knew he was athletic, but he does more damage running now. Maybe because he hadn't always had Chris Olave and
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson and the talent around him in the NFL. But he I haven't seen the Jets play a lot this season. I saw him recently. Well, at the time we're recording this game was recent.
Okay.
The last game he started as of this recording was against the Patriots. First of all, the Patriots at the time of that game had only lost 2 games all year. They're playing at a very good level. They got one of the best lockdown corners in the league, at Christian Gonzalez. Yeah. And Garrett Wilson's still out with a knee injury. Fields did not have good passing numbers that game. He just didn't. The Jets did lose. 3 times that game, he threw passes that hit Adonai Mitchell in the hands. Mitchell dropped all 3 of them. It's easy to go back and say, you see, Justin Fields, they lost another game. Let's bench him. Let's get Tyrod Taylor. I'm not insulting Tyrod Taylor, but they're not winning with him at quarterback either.
Right.
So I can't put it all on Justin, and I'm not trying to attack Adonai Mitchell, but I watched that game, and I saw him make some good throws that were catchable that flat out were not caught. If they had been caught, his stat sheet does look different, and maybe he's not scrutinized quite as much, but I don't know that he could have done anything different on any of those 3 plays.
Well,
himself.
And that makes sense, but what I'll say to that is anytime you look at a quarterback's number, there's always going to be drops.
Oh, yeah.
Always. And so to me, it still comes down to, did you produce? Because drops are part of it. And so I understand he doesn't have a lot of talent around him. I think for him, he's going to have to go somewhere where they build a system around him. And I think what's happened to him lately is people try to put them into his system, into their system. I mean,
yes,
I'm not sure that's going to work. It's going to take somebody who develops packages for him. He might always be a backup that could come in and win a game for you. And then somebody gets hurt and he gets his opportunity. Look how many places Baker Mayfield had to go. Look how many places Geno Smith had to go. So he might be one of these guys 6, 7 years from now. We're like, okay, he's still in the league, and all of a sudden he's productive, and you can win with him. So I'm not giving up on him totally, but we are getting to the area where, okay, when are you going to show it?
What are we going to see? And you touched on something that I'll say too. I think people, and we agreed, he's not Joe Montana, he's not Drew Brees, but he's got some qualities that those guys don't have. You got to design an offense for him. I will say, as great as Lamar Jackson is, Baltimore's done a great job not asking him to be Drew Brees. They saw something special in Lamar Jackson. They've developed around him over the years.
Well, and actually this year it looks like that he is a bit more of a pocket passer and look at the record. I'm not blaming him.
No, but yeah.
He's not Lamar Jackson right now. He's a quarterback. What made Lamar Jackson special, I guess what I'm trying to say?
We're not seeing this year. Yeah. Well, and to your point, look at the record. Jaden Daniels, he's got great arm strength, great ability to read defenses. But I think one thing that helped him out tremendously, the Commanders anticipated drafting him. They went out and hired Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator, who had been the head coach for the Cardinals, who, even though didn't have a great year, they had a dual threat quarterback, Kyler Murray, that Kingsbury coached. So I think that was a great move. And Jaden's first few games, his completion percentage was insanely high because Kingsbury was calling game plans to fit him.
Yeah.
A lot of run pass options, a lot of quick, simple passes. As the season went on, as confidence grew, you saw more deep shots downfield. Yeah. You saw more like how he could read the defense. They started to open things up, but they structured, we're going to meet this young man's talent. No one's done that. I don't mean to be like, oh, poor Justin Fields. Nobody's done this for him, but nobody has. Yeah. I think, to your point, everywhere he's gone, Pittsburgh was a little more that way, but mostly Chicago and the Jets asked him to fit their system.
And even that, they had like packages for him. I'm not saying they didn't,
but it wasn't
they
entirely.
couldn't overhaul their complete offense for him because they still had, they went out and got Russell
Wilson, yeah.
And so so it wasn't a complete commitment to him.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see. It really is.
It will. And the Jet, couple more points I want to make, actually at least 3. So 28 or 3 more points. The Jets, they've had a horrible season. Like I said, Garrett Wilson has missed several games with a knee injury. Also, not to attack this guy at all, nothing personal, but Aaron Glenn's a first-year head coach, and he's a defensive-minded head coach. I don't think that's doing Justin Fields a lot of good because his focus is defense, and the Jets' defense aren't really helping him out. So all around, they're just having a terrible season.
Well, and also
can't put too much of that just on Justin
The
Fields.
challenge with having a defensive coach goes even beyond that now in the league because it's such an offensive league. Anytime you get a defensive coach, you're going to probably have to get a great offensive coordinator. But if he's a great offensive coordinator, he's going to become a head coach, and you've got to start from scratch all over again.
Then you lose him.
So it's almost like you basically have to get either a CEO coach that just oversees everything and is more of a leader and not really an X's and O's guy. Or if you're going X's and O's, make sure you get an offensive head coach if you've got a quarterback that you're trying to develop, because if not, he's going to see multiple offensive coordinators in multiple years, because if they're any good, that offensive coach is getting hired.
He's getting offers, yeah. Ben Johnson stuck around in Detroit longer than a lot of people thought he would, and
look at the situation.
Now he's in Chicago, and
he waited for the right
situation,
and
So, real quick, too, a few guys, and you've already mentioned some of them. I'm not going to go exhaustively, but there's enough data with what I'm about to say that should give people some hope for Justin Fields. Terry Bradshaw was in his 6th year in the league, I think, before he had a reasonably good year. It was like season 8 when he started really playing at a high level. Steve Young started early on with Tampa Bay. The team was terrible. He goes to the 49ers, backs up Joe Montana for 6 years. If not for a Montana injury, Steve Young may have been a very athletic career backup. 8 years in the league, he gets a chance to start, becomes a Hall of Famer. Rich Gannon started early on, then became a backup, and then like his 10th year in the league or something, he comes back with the Raiders and has a Pro Bowl. Doug Flutie, 5'10", he can't play quarterback in this league. He got his chance right out of Boston College, was with the Bills, I think, for a few years. Went to the Canadian League, really proved himself there. He comes back at age 36, and from ages 36 to 39 has his best seasons. You mentioned Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. They're a little bit younger. Geno Smith, Daniel Jones this year in Indianapolis, which is in Indiana. All those guys showed talent early, but they had to find, with every one of those guys, regardless of, Flutie was 36, Baker Mayfield was 28 when he went to Tampa Bay. Every one of those guys had to find the right situation. And I don't think Justin Fields has found it yet. So with every one of these guys we just named, a few years ago, nobody thought Baker Mayfield would be playing the level that he has been in Tampa Bay. Nobody thought
Skip
Sam
Bayless
Darnold
did, but other than
Skip
that.
Bayless might have. No one thought Sam Darnold was going to have this. Nobody expected Geno Smith to do what he did in Seattle.
Right.
Daniel Jones, everybody had written him off. Heck, the Giants cut him. He went to Minnesota last year as a backup. They let him go. Now he's got playing at a very high level.
Well, Minnesota actually wanted to keep him, but he got a better deal with the Colts.
Well, yeah, but they didn't do enough to keep him. I guess that's why, in a sense, they let him go because Indianapolis came. And then I'm gonna speculate a little bit here. I'm curious on your thoughts. There may be more teams or less than this that could be looking for a new quarterback next season. So you can add to this if you have some other in mind. But I would not be shocked next season if the New York Jets, Cleveland Browns, New Orleans Saints, Arizona Cardinals, Las Vegas Raiders, Pittsburgh Steelers. I wouldn't be shocked if all 6 of those teams are looking for a new quarterback next year. You can tell me if you disagree, if you think on some of them, or you may have some others in mind. But how likely do you think, here's my question, how likely do you think it is that Justin Fields does start somewhere next year? And if so, what do you think's the most likely or best fit for him?
I don't think he starts anywhere. I think somebody, if they bring him in, they're bringing him to compete for a job. I don't think he'll be handed a job, nor should he be. Because, again, he's had 3 shots. And so what's going to make it different this time? But it'll be curious to see. I think for him, because if you notice in most of these cases, the players that have come back to have good careers, except for probably Bradshaw, because he continued to start, a lot of them either weren't starting or were starting, then didn't start for a while.
Mm-hmm.
At least,
I think Baker Mayfield was consistently a starter.
well, no, because when he went to
When he went
Carolina,
to Carolina, you're right.
he went to the Rams, and then he ended up with Tampa Bay. So it took 2-3 stops.
You're right. He was, yeah. When he went to the Rams, he started one game. He was only there for like,
And that's just
48
because
hours.
somebody was hurt.
And that's because somebody was hurt. So true enough.
So that's my only thing. I don't think in other words, I don't think anybody's going to call Justin Fields on the phone and say, "Hey, we want you to be our."
You're my quarterback next year.
I don't think that happens with any team.
Yeah. Unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because I am really a big fan of the guy, I think that's a fairly likely scenario. I still think he'd be a good fit for Pittsburgh if Aaron Rodgers retires, if they do what we've been talking about and structure around him. Because again, they're built on defense, run the ball, clock control.
And this is a totally different topic, but I'll say it really quickly. With Pittsburgh, my thing is they need to bottom out. These 9-8 and everybody. Tomlin's a great coach because he hadn't had a losing record. And I'm not knocking Tomlin; he is a good.
He has had a great career,
but it's Jeff Fisher syndrome basically now at a higher level. But okay, what good is it to win 9 games every year and get put out in the first round of the playoffs? They haven't won a playoff game in 6 years. They need to bottom out and draft themselves a legitimate blue chip quarterback. What they're trying to do is win on the fly since Ben Roethlisberger, and it hadn't worked. Because even when they drafted a quarterback, Pickett was the late first round.
Yeah.
They either need to commit money in free agency, but you really can't because no one's letting a good young quarterback go. So at some point, you've got to draft a quarterback at the top of the first round or get lucky. I'm not saying you can't get lucky and get somebody.
If somebody slides to you.
Yeah, if somebody slips. But I mean, that's why the Pittsburgh thing, I don't think that'd be a good situation for him because he's already been there. So people already know what he can do. And I know fans shouldn't dictate what you do as a football team, but at the same time, that's not going to energize your fan base. And
I think for a lot of reasons it's a good fit, but I get what you're saying too.
Yeah, and it's just like, what do you tell your fan base? We're bringing Justin Fields back. Oh, you mean the guy that you got rid of?
The guy that you didn't think was good enough to keep last year?
Right. And
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he'd want to do that, to be honest with you. Now, if that's the only offer he gets.
Yeah. Then why? You're a starting quarterback here,
right.
Or yeah.
But if they thought that much of him, why'd they let him go?
I still don't know the answer to that because I think he should have. I think he would have been a very good. I think that would have been a good fit for him for us to start to see what I keep saying. I think he's capable of.
And I would even say the Raiders, but the problem with the Raiders is I'm not even sure their coach will be there.
The Raiders would be an intriguing place because they got some really good young talent. I think Fields could possibly plug in well there and run pass option with him and Ashton Genty. Sounds pretty.
But there's already talk they're going to change coaches again. So until we figure that out, it's like I can't even think about the quarterback.
That's a good point. I'll tell you an interesting one. Maybe would be the Cardinals because they've already got a dual threat guy. If you plug Justin in, how much would you have to change? I don't know. Well, I'm not saying it's great, but that'd be an interesting one.
I do believe Kyler's played his last game.
I think so too.
So that makes sense. And I don't think Jacoby
Brissett's a long-term answer. Right. So that I'm not even saying it's the best
of the ones listed. Actually, that's the one I would probably buy into the most.
Yeah,
they're going to need a quarterback.
I could see that potentially being an interesting situation. So, all right, there's our conclusion on our studies of Justin. I hope you've adjusted to Justin if you haven't seen the other two.
Sorry, Justin Holiday, we didn't get to you.
Yeah, or Justin James Watt or Justin Tucker. There's a few guys we didn't get to, but hey, there's always another day. So yeah, let us know in the comments how far off is your opinion. Do you agree with me that we haven't seen the best of Justin Fields and he actually could be a very good NFL quarterback? It just seems the right opportunity. Do you think it's absurd to think that because he's already had his chances? What are your thoughts on that? Let us know in the comments. Let us know what team you think he could play for next year, or if you just think he should be out of the league. I'm not going that far, obviously. Like I said, I really do like the guy. I'd love to see him succeed somewhere. But you have any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I'm just curious to see how it plays out. Like I said, he's kind of won me over a little bit more than I was previously. He does have some talent, so let's see what happens. I if I was pushed to a wall, though, I would say he kind of is what he is, but maybe he can change my mind.
We'll see. See if Talmadge's mind gets changed and he adjusts to Justin a little bit more. All right. Well, thank you all so much for stopping by. If you did like the video, please show that by clicking the like button. If you've not already done so, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It will help enable me to continue to bring you more of this type of content, as well as many other types. For Talmadge Rodger Varnado III, I am Jared Johnson, the Jared J. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Have a great week, and I hope I see you again real soon. Just